My name is Catalina Rodriguez, and 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I was 31, had a beautiful 4-year-old daughter named Emma, and was engaged to a man I believed loved us both unconditionally. I was also the marketing director at Meridian Tech Solutions, one of the fastest growing software companies in Dallas. My life looked perfect from the outside. But perfect is just a word people use when they can't see the cracks underneath. I'm standing in my kitchen this morning, watching Emma carefully pour cereal into her bowl, her tiny tongue poking out in concentration. She's wearing her favorite unicorn pajamas, and her dark hair is sticking up in every direction. This is my favorite time of day, before the world demands anything from us, when it's just me and my little girl in our quiet bubble. Mommy, look, I didn't spill, Emma announces proudly, showing me her bowl with exactly 3 Cheerios scattered on the counter. You're getting so good at that, baby, I tell her, kissing the top of her messy head. The smell of her strawberry shampoo mingles with the coffee brewing behind me, and for a moment, everything feels right. My phone buzzes on the counter. A text from Derek, running late for breakfast. Something came up at the office. Rain check. I stare at the message, feeling that familiar knot form in my stomach. This is the third time this week he's canceled our morning plans. Emma looks up at me expectantly. She's been asking about Derek Daddy all week, wondering when he's coming over again. Is Derek coming to see my drawing? She asks, pointing to the crayon masterpiece taped to the refrigerator, a stick figure family with DEREK written in wobbly letters above the tallest figure. Not today, sweetheart, he's busy with work. Emma's face falls, and she goes back to eating her cereal in silence. I hate seeing her disappointed, hate that she's already learning that the men in our lives don't always keep their promises. My phone rings, it's my assistant, Megan. Kat, thank God you're up. The Hartwell Industries presentation got moved to 9:30. They want to discuss the event sponsorship package this morning instead of next week. I glance at the clock, 7:45 a.m. Hartwell Industries is our biggest potential client, worth nearly $2 million in annual revenue if we land their account. Their CEO, Richard Hartwell, specifically requested me for this pitch after seeing my work on the Morrison campaign. I'll be there in an hour, I tell Megan, already mentally shifting gears. This is what I've worked for, moments like these, where everything I've built could pay off in a way that changes everything for Emma and me. I started at Meridian 5 years ago as a junior marketing coordinator, working nights and weekends while Emma napped or played quietly beside my desk. Every promotion, every successful campaign, every late night was building toward financial security my daughter deserves. An hour later, I'm walking into our glass-walled conference room in a navy blazer and my lucky pearl earrings, the ones my grandmother left me. My presentation slides are loaded, my talking points memorized, and my confidence is solid. This is my element. This is where I shine. Richard Hartwell is exactly what I expected, silver-haired, expensive suit, the kind of handshake that says he's used to being the most important person in any room. His marketing director, Janet, sits beside him taking notes on a tablet. Ms. Rodriguez, Richard says, settling into his chair, I've heard impressive things about your work. The Morrison Tech launch campaign was particularly innovative. Tell me why Meridian should handle Hartwell's largest marketing spend of the year. For the next 45 minutes, I'm in my zone. I walk them through our strategy for their annual Innovation Summit, a 3-day event that draws tech leaders from across the country. We're talking venue partnerships, social media campaigns, influencer collaborations, and experiential marketing that will position Hartwell as the industry leader they want to be. The projected ROI on this campaign is 37% above industry standard, I conclude, clicking to my final slide. But more than that, this isn't just about selling products. This is about establishing Hartwell as the company that defines the future of enterprise solutions. Richard leans back, exchanging a look with Janet. Impressive, very impressive. Janet, what's your assessment? The strategy is solid, Janet says, scrolling through her notes. The budget allocation makes sense, and the timeline is realistic. I particularly like the partnership approach with the venue sponsors. My heart is pounding, but I keep my expression neutral, professional, confident. There's just one thing, Richard continues, and my stomach drops slightly. This summit is our biggest event of the year. We're expecting Fortune 500 executives, major media coverage, potential investors. The company that manages this event needs to be rock solid reliable. Tell me about Meridian's track record with events of this scale. I'm ready for this question. We've managed 12 major corporate events in the past 2 years, including the Morrison Tech product launch that drew over 2,000 attendees and generated 8.6 million in media impressions. Our client retention rate is 94%, and we've never had a major event failure. And you personally would be managing this account. I would be the primary point of contact, yes, with a dedicated team of 6 specialists supporting the project. Richard nods slowly. Ms. Rodriguez, I'm going to be direct with you. I've seen a lot of marketing pitches, and most of them sound exactly the same. Yours doesn't. You clearly understand our industry, our challenges, and our opportunities. More importantly, you seem to understand that this event isn't just about marketing, it's about establishing trust with the people who will determine Hartwell's future. I can feel the yes coming, and my chest is tight with anticipation. We'd like to move forward with Meridian for the Innovation Summit. The full package, 2-year contract, with the possibility of expansion if the first event exceeds expectations. Thank you, Mr. Hartwell. You won't regret this decision. As they pack up their materials, Janet approaches me. Congratulations, Catalina. I have to ask, how do you manage such demanding projects with personal commitments? I know work-life balance can be challenging in this field. It's an innocent question, but it hits that tender spot every working mother knows. I have an excellent support system, I say carefully, and I've found that having something important to protect actually makes me better at my job. She smiles. I have 2 kids myself. It definitely changes your perspective on what really matters. After they leave, I sit alone in the conference room for a moment, letting the victory sink in. This contract will change everything. The commission alone will let me put a significant down payment on the house I've been wanting to buy for Emma, the one with the big backyard and the good school district. My phone buzzes with a text from Derek. How did the presentation go? We got it, $2 million contract. That's amazing, babe. Celebration dinner tonight. For a moment, the happiness is uncomplicated. I have the man I love, the daughter I adore, and the career success I've worked so hard for. Everything is falling into place. But as I walk back to my office, I can't shake the feeling that something is shifting. Derek's been distant lately, canceling plans, working late, taking calls in the other room. When I try to talk to him about it, he says I'm overthinking. That work is just stressful right now. Maybe he's right, maybe I am overthinking. The rest of the afternoon flies by in a blur of emails and phone calls. I'm coordinating with our event planning team, reaching out to potential venue partners, and building the foundation for what I already know will be the most important project of my career. At 5:30, I'm packing up my desk when my phone rings. Emma's daycare. Ms. Rodriguez, this is Sarah from Little Stars Academy. Emma's running a slight fever, and we need someone to pick her up. My heart immediately shifts into mom mode. How high is her fever? Is she okay? It's 101.2, nothing too serious, but our policy requires pickup for anything over 100. She's asking for you. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I grab my purse and head for the elevator, already calculating. If Emma's sick, she can't go to daycare tomorrow. I have 3 major client calls scheduled, plus the first Hartwell planning meeting. But Emma comes first. She always comes first. 20 minutes later, I'm carrying a drowsy, warm little girl to my car. She's curled against my shoulder, and I can feel the heat radiating from her small body. My tummy hurts, Mommy, she whispers. I know, baby. We're going home, and I'll make you some soup, okay? Can Derek come read me a story? My chest tightens. Derek and I had plans tonight, our celebration dinner, but Emma needs me, and honestly, she needs him too. She's grown so attached to Derek over the past year. He's been the closest thing to a father figure she's ever known. I call Derek while Emma dozes in her car seat. Hey babe, Emma's sick. Can we move dinner to tomorrow? Maybe you could come over later and help me get her settled. There's a pause. Actually, Kat, I'm pretty swamped tonight. Rain check on everything. Something in his tone makes me frown. Derek, she's been asking for you all week. She made you a drawing. She's sick and wants you to read to her. I know, and I feel terrible about it, but I really can't get away tonight. Work is crazy right now. Okay, I say, but it doesn't feel okay. Tomorrow then. Yeah, definitely. Give Emma a hug for me. After I hang up, I sit in my car for a moment, watching Emma sleep in the rearview mirror. Her cheeks are flushed with fever, and her breathing is slightly labored. All I want is to get her home, make her comfortable, and maybe have the man I love help me take care of the little girl who's become so important to both of us. But Derek isn't coming, again. At home, I carry Emma inside and settle her on the couch with her favorite blanket and stuffed elephant. I make chicken soup from a can and watch her pick at it while cartoons play softly in the background. Mommy, she says around 8 p.m. when I'm checking her temperature again. Yeah, sweetheart. Is Derek going to be my daddy? The question hits me like a physical blow. We've talked about this before, in age-appropriate ways, but tonight it feels loaded with meaning I'm not sure I understand. Why do you ask that, baby? Because Sarah at school said that when mommies get married, the new daddy adopts the little girl, and then she has his name too. And I want Derek's name. My throat tightens. Emma has never known her biological father. He disappeared when I told him I was pregnant. For the past year, Derek has been the only father figure in her life. He reads to her, plays games with her, tells her stories about when he was little. She lights up when he walks in the door. Derek and I are engaged, remember? We're going to get married. But will he adopt me? Will I be Emma Martinez like him? Derek's last name is Martinez, and the thought of Emma carrying that name, of officially becoming a family, makes my chest warm despite my current frustration. We haven't talked about that yet, but I think Derek would love to be your daddy officially. Emma smiles for the first time all day. Good, I want him to adopt me. I want us all to have the same name. Later that night, after Emma falls asleep in my bed, she always wants to sleep with me when she's sick. I find myself staring at the ceiling, thinking about the conversation. Derek and I haven't actually discussed adoption, but I assumed it was part of our future. He's been so good with Emma, so natural with her. Surely he's thought about it too. I text him. Emma asked if you're going to adopt her when we get married. I told her we hadn't discussed it yet, but that I thought you'd want to. We should talk about it soon. The response comes 20 minutes later. We definitely need to talk about a lot of things. Soon. Something about that message makes my stomach drop. It's not the warm, reassuring response I expected. It's vague and slightly ominous, like he's been dreading this conversation. But I push the worry away. Derek loves Emma. I've seen it in the way he helps her with puzzles, the way he remembers which bedtime story is her favorite, the way he talks to her like she's a real person instead of just a kid. He loves us both. Tomorrow, after Emma feels better, we'll have this conversation. We'll talk about adoption and timelines and making our little family official. Everything will make sense again. As I drift off to sleep with Emma curled against my side, her fever finally breaking, I hold on to that thought. Tomorrow, everything will make sense. Emma's feeling better the next morning, but I keep her home anyway just to be safe. I work from home, taking calls while she plays quietly with her coloring books and watches her educational shows. Around noon, Derek texts that he'll come by after work. We need to talk. Those 4 words send a chill through me that I can't shake all day. By 6 p.m., I've put Emma to bed early. She's still recovering and needs the rest. Derek arrives at 6:30, and I can tell immediately that something is wrong. He's wearing his work clothes but looks disheveled, like he's been running his hands through his hair. He won't quite meet my eyes. Hey, I say, opening the door. Emma was disappointed she couldn't stay up to see you, but she's still getting over being sick. Yeah, about Emma? Derek walks past me into the living room but doesn't sit down. Kat, we need to have a serious conversation. My stomach drops. Okay, what's going on? You've been weird all week. Derek starts pacing, which he only does when he's really nervous. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us, about our future, about what marriage really means. Derek, you're scaring me. Just say whatever you need to say. He stops pacing and finally looks at me. I don't think I can do this, Kat. The marriage, the family thing, I don't think I'm ready. The words hit me like cold water. What do you mean you're not ready? We've been together for over a year. We're engaged. We've been planning a future together. I know, and I thought I wanted all of that. But lately, I've been realizing that what I want and what I can actually handle might be two different things. I sit down on the couch, my legs suddenly unsteady. This is about Emma, isn't it? Derek's silence is my answer. Derek, she loves you. She asked me last night if you were going to adopt her. She wants to have your name. Something flickers across Derek's face, guilt, maybe, or regret. But then his expression hardens. Kat, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm 29 years old. I've never been married, never had kids. When I think about starting a family, I think about, well, starting from the beginning, creating something that's ours. The implication hits me like a physical blow. Emma isn't ours. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. My voice is rising, and I'm grateful Emma is asleep upstairs. You don't want to raise another man's child. That's what you're really saying. Derek's face flushes. Don't put words in my mouth, Kat. Then explain to me what you are saying. Because right now, it sounds like you're telling me that the little girl who calls you Derek Daddy and draws pictures of our family isn't worth your commitment. It's not about worth, it's about being realistic. I want my own kids, Kat, biological kids, and I want to experience all the firsts, the pregnancy, the birth, teaching them to walk and talk. I want to be there from the beginning. You could still have that. We've talked about having more children together. But Emma would always come first, wouldn't she? She'd always be your priority, and any kids we had together would be secondary to her. That's not fair to them. I'm staring at this man I thought I knew, this man I thought loved my daughter, and I feel like I'm looking at a stranger. Emma is 4 years old, Derek. She doesn't have a father. For the past year, you've been the closest thing she's had to one. She trusts you. She loves you. And you're just going to abandon her because she doesn't share your DNA. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm being honest about what I can and can't give. Isn't that better than pretending and then resenting her later? The casual cruelty of that statement takes my breath away. Resenting her? Derek, she's a child. She's an innocent little girl who did nothing wrong except love you. I know that, Kat, which is why I think it's better to end this now, before she gets more attached. More attached? I'm on my feet now, pacing myself. She's already attached. She's been attached for months. She thinks you're going to be her daddy. Derek sits down heavily on the couch, his head in his hands. Maybe this is why I should have thought about this more carefully before we got so involved. Maybe I shouldn't have let it get this far. But you did let it get this far. You played house with us for over a year. You let her fall in love with you. You let me believe we had a future. We could still have a future, Kat, just differently. I stare at him in disbelief. What does that mean? It means maybe we put the marriage plans on hold. Maybe we date without the pressure of becoming an instant family. Maybe we see how things develop naturally. You want to keep dating me, but not commit to my daughter. I want to be honest about what I can handle right now. The conversation continues for another hour, going in circles. Derek insists he's not rejecting Emma specifically, just the pressure of instant fatherhood. I try to make him understand that Emma and I are a package deal, that loving me means accepting her completely. By the end, we're both exhausted and nothing is resolved. I need time to think, Derek says finally, standing to leave. About what? About whether my daughter is worth loving. That's not fair, Kat. Isn't it? Because that's exactly what you're asking me to wait for you to decide. Derek pauses at the door. I do love you, Kat, and I care about Emma, but I need to figure out if that's enough. After he leaves, I sit on my couch in the dark, staring at Emma's drawing on the refrigerator. The stick figure family with Derek's name written in careful crayon letters. Tomorrow morning, she'll ask when Derek is coming over again. Next week, she'll want to show him the new book she learned to read. How do I explain to a 4-year-old that the man she's come to see as her father is figuring out whether she's worth loving? The next few days pass in a blur of work calls and Emma's constant questions about Derek. I deflect as much as I can, saying he's busy with work, but she's starting to sense something is wrong. Is Derek mad at me? she asks on Thursday morning while I'm braiding her hair for school. No, baby, Derek isn't mad at you. Why would you think that? Because he used to come over all the time, and now he doesn't. And yesterday when I called him, he sounded sad. My chest tightens. You called Derek? Emma nods solemnly. I wanted to tell him about the butterfly we saw at school, but he said he couldn't talk long, and he didn't want to hear about the butterfly. I close my eyes, fighting back tears. Derek has always been genuinely interested in Emma's stories, no matter how rambling or trivial. The fact that he brushed off her excitement about a butterfly tells me everything I need to know about where his head is right now. Honey, sometimes grown-ups have things they need to figure out that have nothing to do with little girls. Derek isn't mad at you, okay? You're perfect. But Emma doesn't look convinced, and I don't blame her. On Friday, I'm at the office working on the Hartwell event planning when Derek calls. My heart jumps. Maybe he's figured out whatever he needed to figure out. Maybe he's realized that love is a choice, not a biological imperative. Kat, can we meet for lunch? I've been thinking about everything we talked about. It's okay, where? That cafe on Main Street, around noon. I spend the morning oscillating between hope and dread. Maybe Derek has come to his senses. Maybe he's realized that walking away from Emma, from us, would be the biggest mistake of his life. But the moment I see his face across the cafe table, I know it's not good news. I've made a decision, Derek says without preamble. I think we should break up. The words hang in the air between us like a death sentence. And just like that. Kat, I've been thinking about this all week. About what kind of father I would be, about what kind of life we'd have together. And I keep coming back to the same conclusion. I'm not ready to be Emma's dad. I might never be ready for that. And that's not fair to any of us. What about loving us? What about the life we've been building together? I do love you, but love isn't enough if I'm going to spend the rest of my life wishing things were different. If I'm going to resent the fact that I never got to experience fatherhood the way I always imagined. I feel like I'm drowning, so that's it, you're just giving up. Derek reaches across the table and takes my hand, but I pull away. I'm being realistic about my limitations. And I think you should too. Kat, you're an amazing woman and an incredible mother. But dating you means accepting that I'll always be second to Emma, and that any children we might have together would always come after her in your priorities. I want kids who will be the center of their parents' world. The casual cruelty of the statement steals my breath. Emma is 4 years old. She needs to be my priority. I know, which is why this isn't going to work. Derek reaches into his pocket and places my engagement ring on the table between us. The sight of it sitting there, no longer on my finger, makes everything feel final in a way the conversation hadn't yet. I'm sorry, Kat, I really am. I hope someday you'll understand that this is better for everyone. After he leaves, I sit in the cafe for another 20 minutes, staring at the ring. The diamond catches the light from the window, throwing tiny rainbows across the white tablecloth. It's beautiful, and for over 6 months, it represented everything I thought I wanted. Now it just looks like a small, expensive reminder of how wrong I was about the man I thought I loved. That evening, Emma asks for the 15th time this week when Derek is coming over. Sweetheart, Derek and I aren't going to be together anymore. He won't be coming over. Emma's face crumples in confusion. But why? What did I do wrong? The question breaks my heart into pieces. You didn't do anything wrong, baby. Nothing at all. Sometimes grown-ups make decisions that don't make sense to kids, but it has nothing to do with you. But I love Derek, and he loves me too, he said so. I know he does love you, Emma, but sometimes people love each other and still can't be together. Emma starts crying, and I pull her into my lap, stroking her hair while she sobs against my chest. She's too young to understand the complexity of what Derek said, but she's old enough to understand that the man she saw as her daddy is gone. Are we going to see him ever again? I don't know, sweetheart, probably not. But what about my drawing, the one of our family? What about when I learned to ride my bike? Derek said he was going to teach me. Every question is like a knife to the heart. Emma had built Derek into every part of her future, just like I had. Now we're both learning that people can walk away from love if it comes with complications they don't want to handle. That night, after Emma finally cries herself to sleep in my bed, I allow myself to fall apart. I cry for the relationship I lost, but mostly I cry for my daughter. She didn't choose any of this. She didn't ask to be born to a single mother. She didn't ask for her biological father to abandon her before she was even born. And she certainly didn't ask to love a man who would decide she wasn't worth the commitment. Over the weekend, I start the process of erasing Derek from our lives. I pack up the few things he left at our apartment. I delete his number from Emma's tablet so she can't call him anymore. I take down the pictures of the three of us that were scattered around our living room. But I can't erase Emma's questions, and I can't heal the confusion and hurt in her eyes every time she asks about Derek. On Sunday evening, my sister Monica calls. "How are you holding up?" I've told her the basics, that Derek and I broke up, that he wasn't ready for the commitment. But I haven't told her the details about Emma, about his specific rejection of my daughter. I'm angry, I admit. I'm so angry I can barely think straight. At Derek. At Derek, at myself for trusting him with Emma's heart, at the situation. Monica, he looked me in the eye and told me he wanted his own kids. As if Emma isn't real, as if she's some kind of placeholder until he gets the biological children he really wants. Monica is quiet for a moment. "Kat, I'm so sorry, that's incredibly cruel." The worst part is that Emma blames herself. She thinks she did something wrong, that she's the reason Derek left. How do I explain to a 4-year-old that some people see her as baggage? You don't explain that, you protect her from that, and you find someone who sees her as the gift she is. Maybe, I say, but I'm not sure I believe it anymore. Maybe Derek is right. Maybe being a single mother with a young child makes me undateable in any serious way. Maybe I'm naive to think someone could love Emma the way I do. Kat, don't you dare start thinking that Emma is anything other than a blessing. Derek is the one with the problem, not you and not Emma. But what if he's right, Monica? What if I am asking too much? What if expecting someone to love my daughter as much as I do is unrealistic? Then you wait for someone who doesn't see it as asking too much. You wait for someone who sees Emma and sees a little girl who deserves love, not an obstacle to overcome. After we hang up, I check on Emma, who's finally sleeping peacefully in her own bed. Her face is relaxed, her breathing steady, one small hand clutching her stuffed elephant. She looks so innocent, so perfect, so undeserving of the rejection she's experienced. Standing in her doorway, I make a promise to both of us. I won't let Derek's failure define our worth. I won't let his inability to love Emma make either of us feel like we're not enough. But even as I make that promise, I can't shake the feeling that something in me has changed. Derek didn't just break up with me, he broke my faith in love itself. He showed me that even when someone seems to love your child, even when they play family for over a year, they can still walk away if loving her becomes inconvenient. How do I protect Emma from that kind of pain again? How do I protect myself? The answer, I realize, is that I don't. I throw myself into work instead. The following Monday morning, I wake up with a clarity I haven't felt in weeks. I'm done wallowing. I'm done letting Derek's rejection define my worth or Emma's. It's time to pour all my energy into the one thing I can control, my career. The Hartwell Industries Innovation Summit is exactly the kind of project that can change everything for us. If I can pull this off flawlessly, the commission and the professional recognition could set Emma and me up for the future I've always envisioned. A future where we don't need anyone else's validation to feel complete. I drop Emma off at daycare with an extra long hug and a promise to pick up her favorite ice cream on the way home. She's been clingy since Derek left, and I don't blame her. But today, I need to be fully present at work. At the office, I dive into the Hartwell project with an intensity that surprises even me. I schedule venue visits, research speakers, coordinate with catering companies, and map out a social media strategy that will position their summit as the must-attend event in the tech industry. By Wednesday, I have a comprehensive event timeline, a list of potential keynote speakers, and 3 venue options that are perfect for the scale and prestige Hartwell is looking for. I'm feeling genuinely excited about the project for the first time since the breakup. That's when Megan pokes her head into my office. "Kat, Richard Hartwell's assistant just called. They want to schedule the first official planning meeting for Friday afternoon, but she specifically asked whether Derek Martinez from Morrison Tech Solutions would be attending. My blood runs cold. Why would Derek be attending a Hartwell Industries meeting? Megan frowns, checking her notes. I'm not sure. She mentioned something about Morrison Tech being their preferred technology integration partner for large events. Apparently, Derek's company handles all their AV and digital infrastructure needs. The irony hits me like a truck. Derek's company, Morrison Tech Solutions, is Hartwell Industries' go-to technology partner, which means Derek will likely be involved in the biggest project of my career. I spend the rest of Wednesday afternoon in a state of barely controlled panic. How am I supposed to work with Derek on this project? How am I supposed to maintain professional composure while managing a multi-million-dollar event with the man who just told me my daughter isn't worth his commitment? But as the shock wears off, it's replaced by something else. Determination, anger maybe. Derek thinks he can walk away from Emma and me without consequences. He thinks he can just disappear from our lives and continue his successful career without missing a beat. Well, he's about to learn that I'm not someone who disappears quietly. This project is too important to let personal drama derail it, but that doesn't mean I have to make it easy for Derek. Friday afternoon arrives faster than I'd like. I spend extra time getting ready, choosing a sharp black blazer and my most professional heels. If I'm going to have to see Derek, I'm going to look like the successful, put-together woman I am, not like someone who's been crying over him for the past 2 weeks. The meeting is in Hartwell's downtown conference room, a sleek space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I arrive 15 minutes early, wanting to establish my presence before Derek shows up. Richard Hartwell greets me warmly. Catalina, excellent work on the preliminary planning documents. I'm impressed by the level of detail and the timeline you've proposed. Thank you, Mr. Hartwell. I'm excited to bring this vision to life. As am I think you'll work well with Derek Martinez from Morrison Tech. They've handled our technology needs for years, and Derek specifically has a reputation for excellent client service. Before I can respond, Derek walks into the room, and my professional composure is immediately tested. He looks good. He always looks good in a navy suit and silver tie. For a split second, his eyes meet mine, and I see a flicker of the same shock I'm feeling. Derek, good to see you, Richard says, standing to shake his hand. I believe you and Catalina have met. We have, Derek says carefully. Hello, Kat. Derek, I keep my voice perfectly neutral, perfectly professional. We spend the next 2 hours going over event logistics. Derek presents Morrison Tech's capabilities for managing the audiovisual needs of a 3-day summit with multiple concurrent sessions. I walk through the marketing timeline and coordination points where his technology requirements will intersect with my promotional strategies. It should be collaborative, it should be seamless, and professionally it is. Derek is good at his job, and so am I. We identify potential challenges, propose solutions, and create a preliminary integration timeline that satisfies both our companies' needs. But underneath the professional courtesy, there's a tension that makes my chest tight. Every time Derek addresses me directly, I remember him sitting in my living room explaining why Emma wasn't worth his commitment. Every time he smiles at something Richard says, I think about Emma asking why Derek doesn't want to read to her anymore. After the meeting ends and Richard leaves, Derek and I are alone in the conference room, packing up our materials. Kat, Derek says quietly, this is awkward. It doesn't have to be, I reply, not looking up from my laptop. We're both professionals. We can handle working together on a project. Can we? Because you've barely made eye contact with me in the past 2 hours. I finally look at him directly. What did you expect, Derek? That I'd be thrilled to see you? That we'd chat about old times? I expected that you'd be professional enough to separate personal issues from work. The condescension in his tone makes my jaw clench. Don't lecture me about professionalism. I've been nothing but professional today. You're right, I'm sorry. Derek runs a hand through his hair, a gesture I used to find endearing. This is just strange for me too. Strange? I close my laptop with more force than necessary. Derek, you broke up with me 2 weeks ago, because you decided my daughter wasn't worth loving. Now you want to discuss how strange this is for you. Derek glances toward the door, making sure we're still alone. That's not what I said, and you know it. That's exactly what you said. You said you wanted your own kids who would be the center of their parents' world. You said Emma would always come first, and that wouldn't be fair to your biological children. I was trying to be honest about my feelings. Your feelings about my 4-year-old daughter. The same little girl who draws pictures of you and calls you Derek Daddy and asks when you're coming home every single night. My voice is rising slightly, but I don't care. Your honest feelings about a child who did nothing wrong except love you. Derek's face flushes. Kat, please, can we not do this here? No, we're not doing this here. We're not doing this anywhere. We're going to work together professionally on this project because it's important to both our careers. But don't expect small talk, and don't expect me to pretend that what you did to Emma was anything other than cruel. I gather my things and head for the door, but Derek's voice stops me. For what it's worth, I never wanted to hurt Emma, or you. I turn back to face him. But you did hurt us, and the worst part is, you did it because loving Emma felt inconvenient to you. She wasn't the problem, Derek, you were. Over the weekend, I throw myself into research. If I'm going to be working with Derek for the next several months, I need to understand everything about Morrison Tech Solutions and their role in major corporate events. I need to know their capabilities, their limitations, and their client relationships inside and out. But as I dig deeper into Morrison Tech's corporate structure and recent projects, something interesting emerges. Derek isn't just a project manager at Morrison Tech, he's a junior partner, which means his success is directly tied to the company's biggest clients. And according to their public financial documents, Hartwell Industries represents nearly 30% of their annual revenue. An idea starts forming in the back of my mind. It's petty, maybe even vindictive, but it's also potentially brilliant. What if Derek's success on this project, his reputation, his standing at Morrison Tech, his entire professional future, depended entirely on working with me? What if I held all the cards this time? Monday morning, I call Janet Carmichael, Hartwell's marketing director, with a proposal. Janet, I've been thinking about the technology integration aspects of the summit, and I have some concerns about coordination between our teams. What kind of concerns? Well, Morrison Tech is handling all the audiovisual and digital infrastructure, which means every aspect of my marketing strategy depends on their execution. The live streaming, the social media integration, the digital signage, the mobile app functionality. If any of that fails, the entire event fails. That's a valid concern. What are you proposing? I think all technology-related decisions should be rooted through my team first. As the primary event coordinator, I should have approval authority over Morrison Tech's implementation plans. That way, we can ensure everything aligns with the overall marketing strategy. There's a pause. That makes sense. You would essentially be the project manager for all vendor relationships. Exactly. Morrison Tech would report to me, not directly to Hartwell. It would streamline communication and ensure consistent execution across all event elements. I'll discuss it with Richard, but I think he'll approve that structure. You're the one with the overall vision for the event. By Tuesday afternoon, it's official. All vendor relationships for the Hartwell Industries Innovation Summit will be managed through Meridian Tech Solutions, through me. Which means Derek Martinez, junior partner at Morrison Tech, now reports to me on the biggest project of his career. The delicious irony isn't lost on me. The man who decided I wasn't worth his commitment, who walked away from Emma because she wasn't his biological child, now depends on me for his professional success. I spend Tuesday evening crafting an email to Derek, outlining the new project structure. I keep it perfectly professional, perfectly polite, and perfectly clear about who's in charge now. Derek asterisk. Per our discussion with Hartwell Industries, the project management structure has been adjusted to optimize coordination between all vendors. Effective immediately, Morrison Tech Solutions will report to Meridian Tech Solutions for all aspects of the Innovation Summit project. Please prepare a comprehensive project timeline, budget breakdown, and resource allocation plan for my review by Friday. All implementation decisions will require my approval before proceeding. I look forward to our continued professional collaboration. Best regards, Catalina Rodriguez *, Marketing Director, Meridian Tech Solutions. Derek's response comes within an hour. Cat *, can we discuss this new reporting structure? I think there might be some confusion about vendor relationships. Derek, I take my time responding. Let him wonder, let him worry. Derek *, there's no confusion. Hartwell Industries has requested that I oversee all vendor coordination to ensure seamless execution. Morrison Tech's excellent reputation is precisely why they're confident this structure will work. The comprehensive project documents are due Friday. Please let me know if you need clarification on any requirements. Best regards, Catalina *. Wednesday morning, Derek calls my office directly. Kat, we need to talk about this reporting structure. I can't have Morrison Tech's relationship with Hartwell Industries filtered through a third party. Meridian isn't a third party, Derek. We're the primary event management company. You're a vendor. A vendor? I can hear the frustration in his voice. Morrison Tech has worked directly with Hartwell for 5 years. Richard Hartwell specifically requested our involvement. And now Richard Hartwell has specifically requested that all vendor relationships be coordinated through me. If you have a problem with that, you're welcome to discuss it with him directly. There's a long pause. Is this about us? About what happened between us personally? This is about managing a $2 million event efficiently. If you think I'd jeopardize my career and my client relationships for personal reasons, you don't know me very well. It's not entirely true, and we both know it, but it's not entirely false either. I am committed to making this event successful. I'm just also committed to making Derek work for every bit of that success. Fine, Derek says finally. You'll have the documents by Friday. I appreciate your professionalism, I reply, and hang up before he can respond. That afternoon, I get a call from Emma's daycare teacher, Mrs. Patterson. Ms. Rodriguez, I wanted to check in about Emma. She's been asking a lot of questions about families lately, and she seems a bit sad. Has there been a change at home? My chest tightens. Emma's been so good about not asking about Derek directly, but of course she's processing the loss in other ways. Yes, there has been a change. Emma's, well, someone who was important to her isn't in her life anymore. I've been trying to help her understand, but it's complicated. Has she been talking about it at school? Not directly, but today she asked me why some kids have daddies and she doesn't. And yesterday during family drawing time, she drew herself standing alone while other stick figures stood in groups. The image breaks my heart. Emma surrounded by happy families, feeling isolated and different because the man she thought would be her daddy decided she wasn't worth keeping. Mrs. Patterson, is there anything I should be doing differently? Any way I can help her process this better? Just keep reassuring her that she's loved and that families come in all different shapes. Some kids live with grandparents, some with aunts and uncles, some with 2 moms or 2 dads, and some with just one parent who loves them very much. What matters isn't the structure, it's the love. After we hang up, I sit in my office fighting back tears. Derek's rejection didn't just hurt me, it's fundamentally changed how Emma sees herself and her place in the world. She's learning, at 4 years old, that people can walk away from love. But maybe I can teach her something else too. Maybe I can show her that when people underestimate you, when they think you're not worth their respect or commitment, you prove them wrong. You succeed so completely that they can't ignore your worth. That evening, after Emma goes to bed, I spread all the Hartwell Industries materials across my dining room table and get to work. If Derek thinks reporting to me is going to be a formality, he's about to learn otherwise. I'm going to manage this project with a level of attention to detail that will either make Derek's work seamless or expose every flaw in his execution. I'm going to be so thorough, so prepared, so undeniably competent that he'll have to acknowledge my professional excellence every single day. And maybe, in the process, I'll prove to myself that Emma and I don't need Derek Martinez or anyone else to validate our worth. We're enough just as we are. By Thursday night, I have 17 pages of technical specifications, coordination requirements, and performance metrics that will govern Morrison Tech's work on this project. Derek is going to earn every dollar of his fee. Friday morning, Derek's comprehensive project proposal lands in my inbox at exactly 9:00 a.m. It's thorough, well-organized, and professionally presented. Derek is good at his job, I'll give him that. But I'm better at mine. I spend the entire weekend reviewing his proposal with the kind of scrutiny usually reserved for legal contracts. I cross-reference every timeline with my marketing schedule, question every budget line item, and identify potential coordination issues Derek hadn't considered. By Monday morning, I have a 4-page response detailing required modifications, additional deliverables, and revised timelines that will ensure Morrison Tech's work integrates seamlessly with my overall event strategy. Derek's response to my feedback comes Tuesday morning. Cat asterisk. Some of these requirements seem excessive for a standard AV integration project. The additional reporting protocols and coordination meetings will significantly impact our timeline and budget. Can we discuss alternatives? Derek? I smile as I type my response. Derek asterisk. The Hartwell Industries Innovation Summit isn't a standard project. It's their largest annual event with Fortune 500 executives and major media coverage. Hartwell Industries expects excellence, and my job is to ensure they receive it. All vendors are held to the same standards. If Morrison Tech isn't comfortable meeting these requirements, I can recommend other technology partners who might be a better fit for this level of event. Please confirm your acceptance of the project parameters by end of business Thursday. Best regards. Catalina asterisk. It's a power play, and we both know it. Derek's company needs this project. Hartwell Industries represents 30% of their annual revenue. But Morrison Tech also has a reputation to maintain, and they can't afford to have a major client question their commitment to excellence. Derek's response comes Thursday at 4:47 p.m. Cat asterisk. Morrison Tech accepts the project parameters as outlined. We look forward to delivering exceptional service for the Innovation Summit. Derek? I lean back in my chair, feeling genuinely satisfied for the first time in weeks. Derek Martinez might not think Emma is worth his love, but he's about to learn that her mother is someone he can't afford to underestimate. The real work is just beginning. 3 months later, the Hartwell Industries Innovation Summit is 6 weeks away, and everything is falling into place beautifully. The venue is secured, the speakers are confirmed, the marketing campaign is generating significant buzz in the tech industry, and ticket sales are exceeding projections by 25%. More importantly, Derek Martinez is slowly discovering what it means to work for someone who holds him to actual standards. Every week, I require detailed progress reports. Every decision needs my approval. Every change to the original timeline requires justification and recoordination with my marketing schedule. I'm not making things difficult for the sake of being difficult. I genuinely am ensuring flawless execution of a major corporate event. But I'm also not making things easy for Derek. And he's starting to crack. Kat, we need to talk, Derek says, appearing in my office doorway on a Tuesday afternoon in late February. He looks stressed, his hair is messed up, his tie is loose, and there are coffee stains on his shirt. Of course, what can I help you with? Derek closes the door behind him and sits down across from my desk. This level of micromanagement isn't sustainable. My team is spending more time documenting their work for your approval than actually doing the work. I prefer to think of it as quality assurance. Hartwell Industries is paying for excellence. Hartwell Industries is paying for audiovisual support, not a doctorate thesis on every cable placement decision. I lean back in my chair, studying Derek's frustrated expression. 3 months of working under my management has clearly taken its toll. Good. Derek, Morrison Tech bid on this project, knowing it was Hartwell's largest annual event. If your team can't handle the coordination requirements for an event of this scale, perhaps you should have been upfront about your limitations. Derek's jaw tightens. Our limitations aren't the problem. Your unreasonable demands are the problem. Unreasonable demands like detailed timelines, regular progress updates, and advance approval for major decisions. Those are standard project management practices. Not at this level of detail. You're treating us like incompetent subcontractors instead of the experienced technology partner we are. I stand up and walk to the window, looking out at the Dallas skyline. Derek, let me be very clear about something. I don't care about your hurt feelings or your bruised professional ego. I care about delivering an exceptional event for my client. If working with me is too challenging for you, you're welcome to walk away from the project. You know I can't do that. This project represents 30% of Morrison Tech's annual revenue. Yes, I'm aware. I turn back to face him, which is why I suggest you find a way to meet my expectations instead of complaining about them. Derek stares at me for a long moment. This is personal, isn't it? This is about what happened between us. This is about business, Derek. It's about managing a complex event that can't afford to fail because of vendor coordination issues. Kat, I know you're angry about how things ended. Angry? I walk back to my desk, maintaining eye contact the entire time. Derek, I was angry 3 months ago. Now I'm just focused on my career and my daughter. You know, the daughter you decided wasn't worth your commitment. Derek flinches. That's not fair. Isn't it? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like you're discovering what it feels like when someone holds your professional success hostage to their personal decisions. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken history. Finally, Derek stands up. Fine, we'll meet your requirements, but when this event is over, I never want to work with you again. That won't be a problem, I reply. I prefer working with people who can handle professional standards without whining. After Derek leaves, I sit at my desk feeling a mixture of satisfaction and exhaustion. Holding Derek accountable for every detail of his work has been gratifying, but it's also been consuming. I've spent 3 months proving a point, and I'm not entirely sure what that point was anymore. My phone rings. It's Mrs. Patterson from Emma's daycare. Ms. Rodriguez, I'm calling with good news. Emma has been so much happier lately. She's been talking about how proud she is of her mommy's work, how you're planning a big important party for grown-ups. My chest warms. She's been talking about my work. Oh yes, yesterday she told the other children that her mommy is the boss of a huge project and that lots of people have to ask her permission for things. She's been walking a little taller, if you know what I mean. After we hang up, I realize something has shifted. For 3 months, I've been focused on making Derek acknowledge my professional competence. But somewhere along the way, Emma has been watching me stand up for myself, demand respect, and refuse to accept less than I deserve. Maybe that's a more important lesson than I realized. That evening, Emma and I are having dinner when she looks up from her chicken nuggets and says, "Mommy, are you the boss of Derek?" I nearly choke on my water. What makes you ask that, sweetheart? Because I heard you talking on the phone about work, and you said Derek had to do what you told him to do. Are you his boss now? How do I explain this situation to a 4-year-old? Well, Derek's company is helping with a big project I'm managing. So in a way, yes, I'm in charge of making sure everyone does their job correctly. Emma considers this seriously. Is Derek sad that you're his boss? I don't know, Emma. Why do you ask? Because when Derek used to come over, he was always happy. But now when you talk about him for work, you sound different. Out of the mouths of babes, Emma, do you miss Derek? She nods solemnly. I miss when he read me stories, and when he helped me with my puzzle, but mostly I miss when you were happy when he was here. The observation hits me harder than I expected. Emma misses Derek, but she's also noticed that my relationship with him has changed me, and not necessarily for the better. Do you want Derek to come back? I ask gently. Emma thinks for a long moment. I want you to be happy, Mommy. If Derek makes you happy, then yes, but if Derek makes you sad, then no. That night, after Emma goes to bed, I find myself thinking about the past 3 months. I've spent so much energy proving that Derek can't dismiss or underestimate me that I've lost sight of what actually matters. I wanted to show him that Emma and I are valuable, worthy of respect and love. But somewhere in the process, I've become someone I don't entirely recognize, someone who uses professional power to settle personal scores. The next morning, I get an email from Richard Hartwell's assistant requesting a meeting to discuss final preparations for the Innovation Summit. When I arrive at Hartwell's office, Richard is there with Janet and two other executives I haven't met before. Catalina, excellent work on the summit planning, Richard says as I take a seat. I wanted you to meet our board members, Patricia Wells and Thomas Chen. They've been following the project closely. Patricia, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, leans forward. Ms. Rodriguez, the preliminary attendance numbers are impressive. We're looking at nearly 3,000 registrants, which is a 40% increase over last year. The marketing strategy has been very effective, I agree. The speaker lineup and the partnership opportunities are generating significant industry interest. Thomas, a younger man with an MBA confidence, pulls out his tablet. We've also been monitoring the coordination between vendors. I have to say, the level of oversight you've maintained over Morrison Tech has been thorough. Something in his tone makes me pause. Is there a concern with the vendor management? Richard and Janet exchange a glance. Not a concern, exactly, Richard says carefully. But Derek Martinez called me yesterday. He wanted to discuss the reporting requirements you've implemented. My stomach drops slightly. What specifically did he want to discuss? He felt that some of the coordination protocols might be excessive for a technology integration project, Janet says diplomatically. He's concerned that the administrative burden is impacting his team's efficiency. I feel like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff. Derek went over my head to complain about my management to my client. The professional betrayal stings worse than the personal one somehow. I see, I say carefully. And what was your response to his concerns? Richard leans back in his chair. I told him that I hired Meridian Tech Solutions to manage this event, and that includes managing vendor relationships. If he has issues with your requirements, he should work them out with you directly. Relief floods through me. I appreciate your confidence in my management approach. However, Patricia continues, we also don't want vendor coordination issues to impact the event quality. Is there a way to streamline the reporting requirements without compromising oversight? I realize I'm at a crossroads. I can double down on the micromanagement approach, insist that every requirement is necessary, and continue to make Derek's professional life difficult. Or I can acknowledge that maybe I've let personal issues influence my management style more than I should have. You raise a valid point, I say finally. I may have been overly cautious with the coordination protocols. I can review the requirements and identify areas where we can streamline without compromising quality. Thomas nods approvingly. That sounds reasonable. We want all our vendors to succeed, but we also need efficient execution. After the meeting, I walk back to my office feeling chastened. Derek may have rejected Emma and me personally, but he wasn't wrong about my management approach becoming excessive. I've been using professional authority to punish him for personal decisions, and that's not the kind of person I want to be. More importantly, it's not the kind of person I want Emma to see me become. That afternoon, I send Derek an email. Derek asterisk. I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss streamlining the coordination requirements for the Innovation Summit. I've received feedback that some protocols may be more detailed than necessary for efficient execution. Are you available tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Best regards. Catalina asterisk. His response comes within minutes. Cat asterisk. Yes, I'm available. Thank you for reaching out. Derek. The next day, Derek arrives at my office exactly on time. He looks better than he has in weeks, less stressed, more like the confident professional I remember from before our personal relationship complicated everything. Thank you for agreeing to review the protocols, he says as he sits down. Derek, before we get into the project details, I owe you an acknowledgement. Some of my management requirements have been excessive. I've been holding you to standards that are more about control than quality assurance. Derek looks surprised by my directness. I appreciate you saying that. I'm not apologizing for maintaining high standards or requiring detailed coordination. This event is too important for anything less than excellence. But I am acknowledging that I've let personal issues influence my professional decisions, and that's not acceptable. Thank you, Kat. That means a lot. We spend the next hour going through the coordination protocols, identifying requirements that are genuinely necessary for event success versus those that are administrative busy work. By the end of the meeting, we've streamlined the reporting structure while maintaining the quality controls that actually matter. This will work much better, Derek says as he packs up his materials. My team will appreciate the efficiency, and the event coordination will still be thorough. Good, that's what matters. Derek pauses at the door. Kat, can I ask you something personal? I tense slightly. What? How is Emma doing? I know she was. I know the breakup was hard for her. The question catches me off guard. For all the professional tension between us, Derek hasn't asked about Emma once in the past 3 months. She's okay, I say carefully. It was difficult for her to understand why you left, but she's resilient. Derek nods, looking uncomfortable. I think about her sometimes, about how things ended. I never wanted to hurt her. But you did hurt her. And Derek, you'll probably keep hurting children if you keep walking away from relationships because of your biological preferences. Derek's face flushes. That's not fair, Kat. Isn't it? You rejected a 4-year-old girl because she wasn't genetically yours. What happens when you do find someone with kids? What happens when you realize that loving someone means loving the children who come with them? I don't know, Derek admits quietly. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was scared and used biology as an excuse to avoid dealing with my fears about being a father. It's the first time Derek has acknowledged that his reasoning might have been flawed, and I don't know how to respond to it. The damage is already done, Derek. Emma has learned that people can walk away from love when it becomes inconvenient. That's not something I can undo. I know, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for both of you. After Derek leaves, I sit in my office thinking about the conversation. His apology feels genuine, but it also feels too late. Emma and I have moved on, built a life that doesn't depend on Derek's validation or commitment. But maybe that's the real victory here. Not making Derek suffer professionally, but proving to myself that we don't need him to succeed. 4 weeks later, the Hartwell Industries Innovation Summit opens to record attendance and exceptional reviews. The technology integration is flawless. The marketing campaign has generated unprecedented industry buzz, and every logistical element executes perfectly. On the final day of the summit, Richard Hartwell approaches me during the closing reception. Catalina, this has been exceptional, beyond our highest expectations. Thank you, Mr. Hartwell. It's been an honor to work on such an important project. I have a proposition for you. Hartwell Industries is expanding into the European market next year. We'll need comprehensive marketing support for product launches, events, and brand positioning across 6 countries. It's a 3-year contract worth approximately $8 million. I try to keep my expression professional despite the shock. $8 million over 3 years would transform not just my career, but Emma's entire future. That sounds like an incredible opportunity. The position would require someone with your level of expertise and attention to detail, someone who understands both our company culture and the complexity of international markets. Are you interested? And absolutely. Excellent. My assistant will schedule a formal presentation meeting for next month. Bring your best ideas for European market penetration. I want to see that innovative thinking you're known for. As Richard walks away, I realize I'm standing at the edge of a life-changing moment. This contract would mean financial security, professional recognition, and the ability to give Emma opportunities I never imagined possible. It would also mean that Derek Martinez, junior partner at a mid-sized technology company, just watched the woman he thought wasn't worth loving land the biggest contract of her career. That evening, after the summit concludes and all the vendors have finished their breakdown, Derek approaches me in the empty convention center. Kat, I wanted to congratulate you. The event was incredible. Everything went perfectly. Thank you. Your team did excellent work too. Derek nods, then hesitates. I also wanted to say, I heard about the European contract opportunity. Richard Hartwell told my boss that you're being considered for their international expansion. That's huge, Kat. Congratulations. Thank you. Derek shifts uncomfortably. I know things between us ended badly, but I want you to know that I'm genuinely happy for your success. You deserve this opportunity. I study Derek's face, looking for signs of insincerity or resentment, but I don't see any. He looks tired, maybe even a little regretful, but his congratulations seem genuine. I appreciate that, Derek. Kat, can I ask you something? Do you ever think about how things might have been different if I'd made different choices? If I'd been braver about the commitment you and Emma deserved? The question hangs in the air between us, loaded with months of hurt and professional tension. Honestly, no, I don't think about that anymore. Emma and I have built a good life together. We don't need someone else to make us complete. Derek nods slowly. You're right, you never needed me to be complete. I think I was too insecure to see that at the time. What do you mean? I mean that you and Emma had this amazing bond, this complete family unit, and I felt like an outsider looking in. Instead of appreciating what you were offering me, a chance to be part of something special, I resented that I couldn't be the center of attention. It's a more honest self-assessment than I expected from Derek, and I'm not sure how to respond to it. Derek, I don't need your regrets or your retrospective analysis. Emma and I have moved on. I know, I just wanted you to know that I realize now how wrong I was. About Emma, about what family means, about what really matters. What brought on this revelation? Derek sighs, watching you these past 3 months, seeing how determined you were to succeed, how you fought for every detail of this project. I realized that someone with that kind of dedication, that kind of fierce protection of what matters to her, would have been an incredible partner. And Emma would have been lucky to have me as a father, not the other way around. I feel a strange mixture of vindication and sadness. Derek finally understands what he walked away from, but his understanding comes too late to matter. I hope you carry that insight into your next relationship, Derek. Maybe next time you won't let fear make your decisions for you. Maybe not, Derek agrees. And Kat, I hope the European contract works out. You've earned it. As Derek walks away, I realize that I don't feel triumphant anymore. I don't feel vindicated or satisfied by his recognition of what he lost. Mostly, I just feel tired and ready to go home to Emma. The real victory isn't Derek's regret or his professional acknowledgement of my competence. The real victory is that Emma and I don't need his validation anymore. We've built something strong enough to stand on its own. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in Hartwell Industries' executive conference room, presenting my strategy for their European market expansion. I've spent every free moment of the past month researching international marketing regulations, cultural considerations, and competitive landscapes across 6 European countries. The presentation goes better than I could have hoped. My proposal for a phased rollout strategy, starting with the UK and Germany before expanding to France, Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands, addresses both practical concerns and growth opportunities. I've identified local partnership possibilities, regulatory compliance requirements, and cultural adaptation strategies for their technology products. This is exactly the kind of comprehensive thinking we need, Patricia Wells says when I finish. You've clearly done your homework on European market conditions. Thank you. I believe Hartwell Industries has incredible potential in these markets, but success will depend on thoughtful adaptation rather than simply transplanting American strategies. Richard Hartwell leans forward. Catalina, I'm going to cut to the chase. We want Meridian Tech Solutions to handle this expansion. The full $8 million contract, 3-year term, with performance bonuses based on market penetration metrics. My heart stops. $8 million. Over 3 years, that's more money than I've made in my entire career combined. Mr. Hartwell, I'm honored by your confidence in Meridian's capabilities. It's not just confidence in Meridian, Thomas Chen interjects. It's confidence in you specifically. We want you to lead this expansion personally. That means relocating to London for at least 18 months to oversee the initial market entry. The room goes quiet, and I feel the weight of the decision settling on my shoulders. London, for 18 months with Emma. That's a significant commitment, I say carefully. I'd need to consider the impact on my daughter's education, my family situation. Of course, Richard says. Take the time you need to consider all the factors. We'd provide a generous relocation package, assistance with housing, and enrollment in excellent international schools. We want to make this transition as smooth as possible for your family. After the meeting, I sit in my car in Hartwell's parking lot, trying to process what just happened. 3 months ago, Derek Martinez broke up with me because he thought Emma was baggage that would hold me back from building a real family. Today, I was offered a contract that will secure Emma's future and give her opportunities most kids only dream about. The irony isn't lost on me. That evening, Emma and I are having dinner when I decide to broach the subject of the London opportunity. Emma, how would you feel about living in a different country for a while, like an adventure? Emma looks up from her macaroni and cheese, interested. What kind of adventure? Well, Mommy might have a work opportunity in London. That's in England, across the ocean. We would live there for about a year and a half, and you would go to school there. Would we live in a castle? I laugh. Probably not a castle, sweetheart, but we would live somewhere new and exciting. You'd meet new friends, learn about a different culture, maybe even pick up a British accent. Emma considers this seriously. Would we come back here after the adventure? Yes, we would come back to Dallas. This would be temporary. And it would just be me and you. The question hits me with unexpected emotion. Yes, baby, just me and you like always. Emma nods thoughtfully. I think that sounds like a good adventure, Mommy, but can we bring Mr. Elephant? She holds up her beloved stuffed animal. Of course we can bring Mr. Elephant. Then yes, I want to go on the London adventure with you. That night, after Emma goes to bed, I call my sister Monica to talk through the decision. Kat, this is incredible. $8 million? Are you kidding me? I know it seems amazing, but Monica, it means uprooting Emma, leaving everything familiar, starting over in a foreign country. With an $8 million safety net and the career opportunity of a lifetime, Kat, this is everything you've worked for. But what if Emma hates it? What if she struggles with the transition? What if I'm making a selfish decision that prioritizes my career over her stability? Monica is quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? Would you be having these doubts if Derek were still in the picture? What do you mean? I mean, would you be questioning this opportunity if you had a partner to help share the responsibility? Or are you second-guessing yourself because you're afraid of making big decisions as a single mom? The question stops me cold. Monica might be right. Maybe I'm not really worried about Emma's ability to handle the transition. Maybe I'm worried about my ability to handle it alone. You might have a point. Kat, you've been making good decisions for Emma her entire life. You've provided for her, protected her, given her love and stability and opportunities. Why would you suddenly stop trusting your judgment now? Because this feels so big, this feels like it could change everything. Maybe it's supposed to change everything. Maybe this is the universe's way of showing you that Derek was wrong. You're not held back by having Emma. She's the reason you're so driven to succeed. She's why you work so hard, why you demand excellence, why you don't settle for less than you deserve. After we hang up, I spend a long time thinking about Monica's words. For so long, I've seen Emma as someone I need to protect from the world's judgment about single mothers. But maybe I should see her as someone who makes me stronger, more determined, more capable of achieving incredible things. The next morning, I call Richard Hartwell. Mr. Hartwell, I accept your offer. Emma and I are ready for the London adventure. Excellent, Catalina. I'll have our legal team draw up the contracts and our relocation specialist contact you about housing options. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. Thank you for being exactly the kind of professional we want representing Hartwell Industries internationally. 3 weeks later, I'm cleaning out my desk at Meridian Tech Solutions when Megan pokes her head into my office. Kat, Derek Martinez is here to see you. Should I tell him you're busy? I consider it for a moment, then shake my head. No, it's okay, send him in. Derek appears in my doorway looking nervous. Hi, Kat. I heard about the London contract. I wanted to congratulate you before you left. Thank you. Derek steps into my office and closes the door behind him. I also wanted to apologize, properly this time. Derek, we've been through this. No, we haven't, not really. I apologized for hurting you and Emma, but I never acknowledged how fundamentally wrong I was about what family means. I stop packing and look at him directly. What brought this on? Watching you land the biggest contract of your career while raising a 4-year-old daughter by yourself. Realizing that everything I thought would hold you back actually made you stronger, more determined, more successful. Derek runs a hand through his hair, the gesture I once found endearing and now just find familiar. I told you Emma would always come first, that any children we had together would be secondary to her. But that wasn't a flaw in your character, Kat. That was you being an incredible mother. That was you showing me exactly what kind of partner you were, someone who protects the people she loves, someone who doesn't abandon her commitments when things get complicated. I lean against my desk, studying Derek's face. What do you want me to say to that? I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to know that I realize now what I lost, and I want to apologize to Emma too. Absolutely not. My voice is sharp, protective. You don't get to disrupt her life again because you've had some revelation about your mistakes. I'm not trying to disrupt anything. She made me a drawing once of our family, and I threw it away after we broke up because it made me feel guilty. I want her to know that I kept it, that I valued it, that she mattered to me even when I was too scared to act like she did. The admission hits me unexpectedly. You kept her drawing. Derek reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a folded piece of paper. Emma's stick figure family, slightly wrinkled but carefully preserved. The one with Derek's name written in wobbly 4-year-old handwriting above the tallest figure. I fished it out of the trash the next day, Derek says quietly. I've carried it with me ever since. Looking at Emma's drawing in Derek's hands, I feel a complicated mixture of anger and sadness. This man walked away from the little girl who drew him into her family, but he kept her artwork like a talisman of what he'd lost. Why are you showing me this, Derek? Because I want you to understand that, even when I was making the worst decision of my life, part of me knew how special she was. Part of me knew that being Emma's father would have been a privilege, not a burden. I take the drawing from Derek's hands, looking at the stick figures Emma drew with such care. Mommy, Emma, and Derek Daddy, holding hands under a rainbow. She hasn't drawn family pictures since you left, I tell him. Now when they do family art at school, she draws just the two of us. Derek winces. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry for that. Derek, I don't need your apologies anymore. Emma and I have moved on. We've built a life that doesn't depend on your validation or commitment. I know, and I'm glad you have. But I wanted you to know that leaving you too was the biggest mistake I've ever made. And if I ever get another chance at love, at family, I won't let fear make my decisions. I fold Emma's drawing and put it in my purse. I hope that's true, for the sake of whoever comes next. Derek nods and heads toward the door, then pauses. Kat, will you tell Emma that Derek remembers her drawings? That I thought she was an amazing little girl? I'll think about it. After Derek leaves, I sit in my empty office thinking about closure. For months, I wanted Derek to understand what he'd walked away from, to acknowledge Emma's worth and my own. Now that he has, I realize his recognition doesn't change anything fundamental about our lives. Emma and I were always enough, just as we were. Derek's belated understanding is satisfying, but it's not necessary for our happiness. That evening, I'm tucking Emma into bed when she looks up at me with serious eyes. Mommy, are you excited about our London adventure? I am, sweetheart, are you? Emma nods enthusiastically. I'm excited to see castles and hear people talk funny and maybe ride in a double-decker bus. Those all sound like wonderful adventures. Emma is quiet for a moment, then asks, Mommy, will Derek know we're gone? The question surprises me. Emma hasn't asked about Derek in weeks. I don't know, baby. Why do you ask? Because I was thinking that maybe when we come back from London, I'll be bigger and smarter and more interesting. And maybe Derek will wish he'd stayed to see me grow up. The observation is so mature, so perceptive, that it takes my breath away. My 4-year-old daughter understands that Derek's loss isn't about her inadequacy, it's about his inability to see her value. Emma, you are already bigger and smarter and more interesting than you were when Derek knew you. And you'll keep growing and learning whether anyone else sees it or not. The most important thing is that you see it. Emma smiles. I do see it, and you see it too. That's right, baby. I see it, and you see it, and that's enough. 6 weeks later, Emma and I are on a plane to London, starting the biggest adventure of our lives. As we take off from Dallas, Emma presses her face to the window, watching the city get smaller below us. Look, Mommy, everything looks like toys from up here. It does, doesn't it? Emma settles back in her seat with Mr. Elephant clutched in her arms. Mommy, I'm proud of you. What do you mean, sweetheart? I mean you worked really hard and got a really important job, and now we get to go on an adventure together. You're the best mommy ever. Sitting on that plane with my daughter, flying toward a future we're building together, I realized that Derek was wrong about everything that mattered. Emma didn't hold me back from success. She inspired me to achieve more than I ever thought possible. She didn't make me less desirable as a partner. She showed me exactly what kind of partner I deserved. Someone who would see her as a gift, not an obstacle. 3 months into our London adventure, Emma is thriving at her international school, speaking with the beginnings of a British accent and confidently navigating the underground with me. I'm successfully launching Hartwell Industries' European expansion, building relationships with major clients, and loving every challenge of international business. One evening, as we're walking through Hyde Park after dinner, Emma stops to pet a dog whose owner is happy to let her say hello. Mummy, Emma says, using her new British pronunciation, I love our adventure. I love it too, sweetheart. Do you think Derek would be proud of us for being so brave? It's the first time Emma has mentioned Derek since we arrived in London, and I consider how to answer. Emma, what Derek thinks doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that we're proud of ourselves for being brave enough to try something new. Emma nods thoughtfully. I am proud of us, we're really good at adventures. Yes, we are. That night, after Emma falls asleep in our London flat, I send an email to Monica. You were right about everything. Emma and I didn't just survive Derek's rejection, we used it as fuel to build something amazing. We're not in London despite being a single-parent family. We're here because being a single-parent family made us strong enough, determined enough, and fearless enough to take this leap. Emma asked today if Derek would be proud of us for being so brave. I told her what Derek thinks doesn't matter anymore. But between you and me, I hope he knows what he walked away from. I hope he realizes that the little girl he thought would hold me back actually launched me into the best chapter of my life. We're not just surviving without him, we're thriving. Love asterisk. Cat asterisk. 2 years later, Emma and I returned to Dallas with international experience, fluency in 2 additional languages. Emma picked up French from her school friends, and a professional network that spans 6 countries. The European expansion exceeded all projections, and Hartwell Industries has offered me a permanent position as their Director of International Markets. At Emma's 6th birthday party, surrounded by friends from both her Dallas school and her London school, several families flew in for the celebration. I watch my daughter confidently switching between American and British pronunciations, depending on who she's talking to. Mummy, I mean mommy, she corrects herself, running up to me with chocolate cake on her face. This is the best birthday party ever. I'm so glad you're happy, sweetheart. Emma hugs me tightly. Thank you for taking me on the London adventure. Thank you for being the bravest mommy ever. Thank you for being the best adventure partner I could ask for. Later that evening, after all the guests have gone home and Emma has finally crashed from her sugar high, I'm cleaning up party decorations when I find one of Emma's drawings from school. It's labeled My Family and shows 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, holding hands under a rainbow. At the bottom, in Emma's careful first-grade handwriting, it says, Me and Mommy, We are brave adventurers. No Derek, no empty space where a father figure should be, just Emma and me, complete as we are. I think about the woman I was 3 years ago, desperately trying to convince Derek Martinez that my daughter was worth loving. That woman had no idea she was about to embark on the most successful, adventurous, fulfilling chapter of her life. Derek thought Emma would hold me back from finding love, from building a family, from achieving success. Instead, she became the reason I demanded more from life, the motivation to take risks, the inspiration to show her that women don't need anyone else's permission to chase their dreams. I don't know what Derek is doing now, and I don't particularly care. I hope he's learned to see beyond his own insecurities, to value people for who they are rather than their biological connections to him. But his growth, or lack thereof, is no longer my concern. Emma and I built something beautiful from the ashes of his rejection. We proved that love isn't about DNA or traditional family structures. It's about commitment, support, and choosing each other every single day. As I tuck Emma into bed that night, she looks up at me with sleepy eyes and says, "Mommy, I'm glad Derek didn't want to be my daddy." The statement surprises me. Why is that, sweetheart? Because if Derek had stayed, we might not have gone on our London adventure, and I love our adventures together. Emma's wisdom continues to astound me. At 6 years old, she understands that Derek's rejection wasn't a loss, it was a redirection toward something better. You're right, baby. Our adventures have been pretty amazing. Will we have more adventures? Definitely, as many as you want. Emma smiles and closes her eyes. Good, I like adventures with just me and you, Mommy. As I watch my daughter drift off to sleep, I realize that this is what victory looks like. Not Derek's regret or recognition, not revenge or vindication, but Emma and me, building a life so full of love and adventure and possibility that his absence doesn't even register as a loss. We started this journey with Derek telling me he didn't want to raise another man's child. We end it with Emma understanding that she was never anyone else's child to raise. She was always mine, always perfect, always enough exactly as she was. And I was always strong enough, capable enough, worthy enough to give her everything she needed, including the example of a woman who doesn't accept less than she deserves. 3 years ago, Derek Martinez broke my heart by rejecting my daughter. Today, I can honestly say it was the best thing that ever happened to us. Looking back now, I understand that Derek's rejection wasn't about Emma's worth or my desirability as a partner. It was about his fear, his insecurity, and his inability to see beyond his own narrow vision of what family should look like. But here's what I learned. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. When someone tells you that your child is an obstacle to their happiness, don't try to convince them otherwise. Walk away. Because the right person won't see your child as baggage to overcome, they'll see her as part of the package that makes you amazing. Emma and I didn't just survive Derek's rejection. We used it as rocket fuel to launch ourselves into a life more adventurous, more successful, and more fulfilling than anything I could have imagined when I was begging him to love us both. The woman who was devastated by Derek's decision to leave is now the director of international markets for a Fortune 500 company. The little girl he thought would hold me back is now a confident, bilingual 6-year-old who sees the world as full of possibilities. We proved that single mothers aren't broken families waiting for someone to complete them. We're complete families capable of incredible things. So I have a question for you. Have you ever let someone else's inability to see your worth make you question your value? Have you ever tried to convince someone to love your children, your dreams, your authentic self? If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been in a situation where someone made you feel like you weren't enough just as you are, I want you to know that their failure to see your value says nothing about your worth and everything about their limitations. You don't need anyone's permission to be amazing. You don't need anyone's validation to chase your dreams. And you certainly don't need anyone who sees the people you love as obstacles rather than gifts. If this happened to you, would you stay silent? Or would you fight back by becoming so successful, so fulfilled, so undeniably thriving that their rejection becomes irrelevant? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories of triumph over rejection, of building something beautiful from someone else's inability to see your worth. Remember, you are enough. Your children are enough. Your dreams are valid. And anyone who can't see that isn't worthy of the space they're taking up in your life. Now go build something amazing.